Hello and welcome to episode 34 of Around the Lens. I'm your host, David J. Murphy, a visual journalist with 16 years or so experience, currently living in Biloxi, Mississippi. At this point, I'd introduce Zach, but he is hanging out with Democrats over at the Democratic National Convention. He is just super busy guy, running from one convention to the other, and I can't wait to talk to him about next week, which, by the way, next week, episode 35, we're planning to do a big special episode and get as many photographers, broadcasters, whoever was out at both the Republican and Democratic National Convention, or at least did one, and really just have a solely National Convention focused episode talking about the protests, talking about what's going on inside of the actual convention centers, just the whole experience. So stay tuned for that on August 1st at 8:30 p.m. and hopefully we'll have a nice big rounded group of people on that show, hopefully. All right, well, what is Around the Lens? If you've tuned in for the first time, Around the Lens is a live weekly visual journalism roundtable show airing every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We're broadcasting live this July 25th, 2016. What we do is we get experts in the world of visual journalism together to discuss news, topics, and gear related to our career field. We focus primarily on photojournalism and documentary filmmaking. If you'd like to, like us, you can like our Facebook page. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can subscribe to the podcast of this show on iTunes or Google Play or your podcatcher of choice. Also, this is new. We are now on Snapchat. So if you'd like to follow us on Snapchat and see sort of the going-ons of myself, Zach Roberts, and our panelists, we'll be handing over control to different Snapchatters every week to kind of document and let you know a little bit about what they're doing in the world of visual journalism. So I think it's a cool new platform. I'm excited for it. If you want to learn more, follow us on Snapchat via @AroundLens, because somebody took Around the Lens. Gosh darn it. That irritates me. It's like so close, just like Twitter. Somebody took our Twitter. And it's like, no, they don't use it. It's completely empty, but I can't get it from them. It's just so frustrating. Anyways, let's get on with the show. We've got a great show for you today. We got one panelist on, Nick Oxford. Nick, why don't you go and tell us a little about yourself and who you are?
Well, I'm Nick Oxford. I'm a freelance photojournalist living in Oklahoma City. I do mainly news work for different publications around the U.S. and internationally. Cool.
How long have you been in the business?
Full time, kind of since I graduated from school. I started freelancing right after that, so about 4 or 5 years now.
Nice. Well, happy to have you on. We got a lot of great topics to talk about tonight. We actually had another panelist lined up for tonight, which was going to relate right into our first topic. Mr. Peter Cepeda was supposed to be on the show. Not here. Things happen. I understand that. But we're going to still continue to talk about his situation, because he was going to talk a little bit about, I guess, his experience dealing with stolen photography. But you know what? That's just you and me, buddy. All right. So let's do this. Let's make some magic happen and do a show, shall we? All right. So again, first topic of the week, news of the week. As always, we start with the news. So what do you do when a big company steals your work? So the main story we were going to talk about with regard to Peter is that essentially he had one of his photographs stolen, not stolen, I guess taken by a celebrity and used on Instagram. And so, you can consider this use without obviously getting the licensing rights and republishing a photograph. But that's not what bothered him the most. What bothered him was that this celebrity cropped out and did not make mention of his name, so he got no actual credit for this photograph. And beyond that, you had a bunch of different organizations now taking this off Instagram and using it in their publications without paying, his agent or whoever is distributing his photographs. So that's money that he's not getting, that people are still using in their publications. And it's basically devalued his photograph to nothing. So, he's been trying to push this out. I know he's making a big stink on it, of course, as is necessary, because that's how you got to get attention nowadays. He had an article here on Petapixel talking about it, and I saw him actually on Reddit talking about it. And, when I saw it on Reddit, there was some flack given to him because essentially this is paparazzi photography. This is a photograph of a celebrity. And you got people saying like, you should, you're stealing their image. So that, their personality. So they're stealing your image is, I guess, karma. I don't buy that at all, partially because I was a paparazzi for a few years and it was an awesome job. But again, I can see where people misunderstand the field. But in this case, I think it's kind of, sad that nobody, few people are backing them up. A lot of people are backing them up though, as well, and saying basically, well, you can, sue, you can send them a fee. There's a lot of things you can do.
Yeah, cease and desist letter.
Sure. Yeah. So Nick, I mean, what's your take on this? Have you had your imagery stolen or taken without your permission and used by someone or some entity or some company?
I mean, I haven't had it necessarily directly stolen from me putting it out there, but stolen secondhand, absolutely.
Okay.
Just from on blogs and internet sites and things like that are, if it's like a big news story, which, I definitely get in a situation like that, it's really hard to control where the images go. And I'm already working for somebody that's paying me for the pictures and they're, distributing them on their website or secondhand.
Right.
But, people will rip off images till the end of time. It's the internet. That's just what happens. So, never to the extent of this where it's, a celebrity's putting it on Instagram and it's on, I see her on Petapixel, it's on Entertainment Tonight News, stuff like that, where I've had to actually send like a letter and raise a big stink about it.
Right.
Only where I've had to just send a quick email to an editor or something, say, hey, I took this picture. I don't think that you guys paid for it. Take it down. Usually that does the trick.
Yeah.
For me anyway.
Yeah. I've never had the issue where I've had to actually ask someone to take down an image. For the most part, every time someone has used my image that I know of, they've asked me for permission for it. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't get paid most of those times.
Yeah, you never get paid for it.
Right. But, I mean, when you're looking obviously at the internet, you got, take into account who's actually using your picture and is it worth the request for money? I mean, obviously, we constantly say, oh, it's the exposure, but you know what? Exposure kills. So
exposure doesn't pay your, I get emails like that all the time too. Like, hey, we'll give you a credit. We'll promote your work and your Instagram, but those things don't pay my rent. They don't pay my bills. And people just don't understand that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, if I'm trying to promote this show, if I'm trying to promote like the Around the Lens Instagram page, which by the way, I should note, we just recently passed the 1,000 mark in followers. So thank you very much, everyone who follows us. We are at Around the Lens. I was able to get that one on Instagram. So please join the Legion and follow at Around the Lens on Instagram. Anyways, so if I was trying to promote that and some celebrity decided to, for some reason, take something I put up on there and like, I don't know, do something with it, I'd be like, all right, yes, absolutely. I want exposure for this show. I want to increase listenership and all that good stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, if it's my personal work and I'm trying to, feed my family with the money I make off of my work, then I'm not going to appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, does it say that the picture was stolen from like a place that he posted it or like the agency he was shooting for or anything?
Well, I mean, if you look at the, a little further down on the article, there's I guess what the picture looks like when it's posted online, and it has his credit and
INF photo
at the bottom. Yeah, and so obviously what they did was they cut that out, and she put it on her Instagram, I guess, as a square photo. So yeah, basically now people are taking that like e-news through Instagram are posting it because they don't have to go to INF photo, and the way it works for paparazzi or anybody who works for an agency, as you know, is that you get a percentage of whatever an entity pays for that use rights, that use of that picture. And I can tell you, when I was doing it 10 years ago, it was even hard to make a living back then selling your stuff because again, the internet was taking over. Nowadays, I don't know how anyone makes any money selling pictures because magazines don't exist, at least not in the not in the scope and breadth that they did. So I don't know. But what would you
Yeah.
do if somebody took your image? What would you do if, like, you know, a major celebrity or a major corporation just took your imagery? What's your course of action? You're a freelancer, right?
Yeah, I mean, actually, the first thing I would do is talk to the NPPA,
Okay.
National Press Photographers Association, because, I mean, if you're not a
We love them
member,
here on the show.
yeah, to those of you out there that are not members, if you're a journalist, it's definitely worth doing. I mean, just for, I think it's like $100 a year, but it comes along with like free legal representation in case you get, you know, arrested while you're on assignment or something like this pops up, etc. Um,
Did
you know,
you hear that Mickey, I guess is his name? Yeah, Mickey,
yeah, yeah,
the lawyer for the MPPA, was
yeah.
out at the Republican National Convention. I thought that was a
Yeah,
pretty cool gesture by them to
yeah,
make
no,
sure.
it was great. He was out there. You know, I think he was outside most of the time on the streets, just in case anything happened with the protests, stuff like that, which it didn't
Right.
really seem like it did. But you know, I think they have great legal representation for photojournalists, and there's not enough photojournalists that really know that that is part of the package when you sign up with them. But that's the first
Right.
thing I would do. And you know, there's people at E-News too. You could send a cease and desist letter to. You know,
Right.
that'd be the first thing, and I'd figure out how many days it was on there and say, hey, I would send him an invoice with a cease and desist letter. Just say,
Yeah.
hey, here's what I want to charge you for this photo, and if you want to keep using it, send me a check. If not, take it off your site.
Right. Yeah. Have you heard of the ASMP?
Yeah, American Society of Magazine Photographers.
I think. Yeah. It's one of the agencies. Anyways, there was this guy who was from that one of the groups, and he was talking about how, you know, he's well known and he's got, you know, his photographs out there. He's actually very protective of his work. I tried to look at his portfolio, but he doesn't actually have a public portfolio that, like, he puts his stuff on there because people have his imagery so much. So if you are, like, interested in hiring him as a client, you send him an email and he puts together a custom portfolio for you. You can do that if you're really well known and have some really great imagery, I guess. Anyways, he was talking about how he would either, you know, he was going to get people to pay him, and he was either going to get it after the fact. You were going to pay him after the fact if you used his imagery without his request, or you were going to do it before the hand, but you were going to pay him. And he was actually saying he was getting, like, as much, if not more, from, you know, people using his imagery without his permission from those invoices than he was from people, you know, using it. But he talked about how he tried to get people, like, from bloggers and stuff to pay him, but ultimately they always throw out, like, the pity party, you know, I can't afford that.
Right.
And so he just wanted to make sure he got credit on at least the blogger stuff. But yeah, if you're like a commercial entity, you know, if you use my stuff, nobody's gonna ever use my stuff. But if you use my stuff without my permission, then yeah, I'm gonna send you an invoice and you're gonna pay me, or we're gonna go and have a little chat in, I don't know, small claims court, whatever court I can take you to.
You know, and I wonder how much that happens with, you know, when it comes to paparazzi. It's a little different than, like, photojournalists.
I would say paparazzi imagery is much more, like, in demand on the, like, sort of the general imagery front.
Right. But I guess
obviously,
maybe the closest thing that you could probably compare it to with photojournalism is maybe taking pictures of, like, politicians. Like, you know, if you got a killer shot of the president, people would maybe rip that off to print it on T-shirts or memes, etc. You know,
or make a hope poster or something.
Right.
That one guy.
Pull a Shepherd Ferry. Yeah.
Yes, Shepherd Ferry, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zach loves Shepherd Ferry.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. I can hear the rant in my head.
Yeah. But man, wish we could have Peter on and talk about this from his perspective. Peter, if you're listening, shame, as in Game of Thrones. Sorry, it's a Game of Thrones reference. Great show, by the way. Everybody should watch it. Okay, so I think we're in agreement here. If you use our stuff without our permission, we're going to send you a cease and desist and an invoice. Okay, well, let's move on to our next topic of the evening. This is our general topic, general interest items. So, you know, obviously, we are talking about Republican National Convention, Democratic National Convention. You know, you're talking about protests. And when you're talking about protests, you're talking about health insurance. And more so even than health insurance is apparently disability insurance, because health insurance will help you if you're unhealthy, but if you become disabled and can't actually do your job, then disability insurance comes into play to provide you additional funds, for that sake. So,
Right.
I think it's pretty important because if you can't work, then you're kind of out of luck. Especially if your back catalog of stuff isn't exactly making you a lot of money in this day and age, because I know that stock companies aren't really what they used to be.
Right.
So as a freelancer, Nick, do you have insurance? Or you just basically taking it by the risk?
Yeah, I mean, I have gear insurance, but I do not have disability insurance. That's something
Health
new
insurance?
yeah, I've got health insurance through my wife's job. Fortunately,
Oh, okay.
Cool. I'm one of those lucky ones that can mooch off that.
Nice.
But that's something I've never looked into actually, is the disability insurance. But it makes sense. We go into a lot of situations that you never know. You can get hurt pretty easily, etc. Or even just sports photographers, you could catch a baseball to the head on accident or something like that.
Or you get a javelin to the foot.
Yeah. Do you know someone that happened to?
It was a story a couple years back. There was a guy. It was actually a former Marine combat photographer. He was shooting some track and field, and he was out, I guess, on the range where they throw the javelins, and a javelin ended up, I think, striking him in the fatty part of the thigh or something like that.
Wow.
I can't remember. I should have him on the show to talk about that. But yeah. So you gotta be careful. And I think there was another story about a guy who was hit by a shot put.
Huh.
So I'll tell you, track and field is no joke.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely would think about it if I was traveling to this year's Olympics. Might be a good idea.
You're not covering the Olympics this year? Have you covered Olympics before?
I've never covered Olympics. Just I've covered Olympic trial sort of stuff. But something I'd love to do, of course.
Sure.
It's hard to get into that. But yeah, do you know?
I think if you put in now, you can get into 2020 Olympics.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Sounds about right. But yeah, no, I've never really thought about getting disability insurance, but it might be something I have to look into. Might be kind of interesting. Depends on how much it costs, I guess. But
right. Well, in the end, I mean, it's like the cost of being disabled is probably more than the cost of disability insurance, right?
True. Yeah, and it's all a write-off at the end of the year, right?
I think so.
Ideally. That's what.
So now that you know about this, is it something you think well, obviously you have to do some more research into it. I'm thankful with my job. I have, obviously disability insurance. I just continue to get paid if I can't work, just until, but I mean, that's having a normal job, I guess you could say. Obviously, as a freelancer, you've got to take into consideration, what are you going to do? What if you couldn't do your job anymore? What would you do if you couldn't do photography?
That'd be a tough
What's your backup plan? What's your plan B?
Well, I don't really have one, which I think that's a lot of freelancers, try not to think about that too much because it's a scary proposition. But
oh yeah, absolutely.
That's definitely something that we should all be thinking about, and that disability insurance would be a nice it'd be nice peace of mind for sure.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's what I would get it for more than anything. I'm not super worried about getting hit by a javelin or a shot put anytime soon, but
you're just not in the right place.
Yeah. You just never know. And I mean, I live in Oklahoma City, so we're in Tornado Alley, and I covered a lot of treacherous things occasionally every spring. So yeah, that might be something worth looking into.
Well, I mean, have you seen this price scale on the blog.photoshelter.com website?
Yeah, I see it. Right.
Where do you think you fall in it? Because actually, it doesn't seem that bad. Like, if you're 30 to 34 and you have a annual income of like $48,000, you're only looking at like $25, $26 a month. I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be like, yeah, it wouldn't be that bad. It'd be like, $15 to $25 a month for me. So
Yeah,
That really wouldn't be too terrible to look into. That's not bad.
absolutely.
Is this
Cool.
tailored specifically to photographers too?
Yeah, yeah, that's what it looks like.
Okay, interesting. And I know that there's a lot of, I have a lot of friends that shoot weddings, and they all have liability insurance for
Oh yeah, of course.
their stuff. You know, that's not something
Have
that
they,
I deal with.
have they
But
ever had a one of those nightmare scenarios where the bride or groom or whoever aren't happy with the imagery, and they want to sue them for, I guess, not doing good enough or whatnot?
I've never had a friend that has run into that yet, but my sister shoots a lot of weddings in Colorado, and I'll have to ask her. She may have run into that once or twice with some friends or something, but I don't know. Do you know of any photojournalists that have liability insurance?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have
I
to
could.
ask the audience.
Yeah,
Hey, audience,
yeah,
let me know.
yeah. Peanut gallery. I could see it for people that do a lot of documentary work, like video
Mhm.
stuff. If they have subjects in studio or stuff like that a lot. Or I guess if you had your own photo studio, you would kind of just have to have liability insurance for your studio in general. So
Yeah. It's never something I ever had when I was a freelancer. The only thing I really cared about was gear insurance. Because
yeah,
obviously, if your gear breaks, then you're gonna be out a while.
yeah, exactly.
Um, Liability, though, it probably wouldn't be bad to have in case you accidentally bump somebody while you're out shooting. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
an athlete falls on top of you or something and
right,
cuts
yeah,
their
exactly.
lens. Yeah,
Yeah, they sprain an ankle because you're taking their photograph. I don't know.
yeah.
It's a one thing. But no, never a liability insurance, just gear insurance. But definitely if I was a freelancer, I might look into this. So you'll have to let us know what you find out, Nick, and then get back to us on if you decided to.
Yeah, I definitely will. And that's another thing with NPPA. They work with a few different insurance companies to get their members discounts. So I don't know if disability insurance is something that they, have kind of a in with or something like that. But I'll definitely have to look into it.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to our final topic of the evening, our gear talk segment. So this is something that I thought was pretty neat. It's a tripod with a flashlight. So the way it works is that you have your tripod, and then normally the center bar area that you can manipulate up or down to give you more height for your camera, at the bottom of it is actually a flashlight. So I thought, this is cool, but what's the utility? And then they showed some pictures on the Petapixel story about it, basically showing how you can have your gear underneath the tripod, and then you can use it as a light to kind of look through your bag. And I thought, that's actually not a bad idea. That might be something I actually use. So, what do you think about this? Is a tripod something you use in your sort of day-to-day work? And if so, is this something you would consider purchasing? Is this having utility for you?
It's not something that I really use day to day. Most of my stuff is out in the field shooting with my hands, and I don't have, space or really need to carry a tripod. My tripod rides around in my trunk with me just in case I need it for something.
Right.
I use it just on occasion I use it for architecture work when I do architecture photography, just, helps making those lines straight. But that flashlight is a smart idea, and I know a lot of photographers that would be really helpful for. A lot of outdoor photographers. I've got a good friend, Carl, who does a lot of like star trail time lapses and long exposures out in Yosemite and stuff like that, and he's always shooting at night. I think that would be something really helpful for a photographer like that, but for me, probably not.
Yeah, I would see the utility here if you're obviously doing a lot of night stuff, because you're taking out your camera bag, you got to take out your camera or your flash or your phone. You use that as a light source, and you got to hold up
Right.
your phone, and then it can definitely alleviate a little bit of that and give you the extra hand. I probably wouldn't go out of my way to buy this, especially if it was remarkably more expensive than it looks like there's a pretty good range of prices here, going all the way
Yeah.
down to $99 up to $300, $330. I wouldn't necessarily buy a new tripod for this, but I think if I was in the market for a tripod, I might consider getting one. I definitely see the utility in it. But again, I've got all the tripods I need, and I don't need another tripod. So it's not enough for me to buy a tripod.
Nah, definitely not. I mean, if I shot a lot of outdoor nature stuff, maybe. But yeah, for what I do, probably be a no-go. It is cool though. I mean, they did a slick job with how they mounted that flashlight, right underneath there and everything, and it's not in the way or awkward or anything. So it's kind of cool.
Right. Yeah, like some of the people in the comments section were saying here, well, I've got a flashlight and I've got a tripod. All I need is a rubber band. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's probably.
I use my tripod mostly as a cameraman, if you will, because I'm doing a lot of stuff where, I'm shooting some family portraits and I don't have another person to take our pictures. So I set up the camera on a tripod and, I just shoot, my bursts there. So for those instances, I usually am either shooting during the day, so I'm not really doing a lot of night work, or the work that I'm doing is pretty much just the camera and the tripod. So I don't need to have to dig into a bag or something to change lenses or anything. I'm not doing anything crazy, but I don't know. Maybe I should do some more night work, or maybe I would get this and that would inspire me to do night work.
Yeah. Go out and create some of those, beautiful pictures like Apple has on their backgrounds of all their operating systems. Yeah.
like when I got a GoPro 4, I did. I jumped out of an airplane and I skydived onto a mountain, wherein I then skied down the mountain onto a ledge where I popped off that, and then I used my wingsuit to fly through the mountain ranges. Just because I had the GoPro 4, I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
I had the GoPro, and I had to figure out a way to get cool footage for the GoPro.
Absolutely.
No, I've never done any of those things except for skydive. I have done skydiving. You ever done skydiving?
I haven't. Always wanted to.
You gotta do skydiving. It's such a rush.
I've heard it's a blast.
It's almost as much of a rush as protest photography.
Yep. I do love some good protest photography. It's been a while since I've done a good one, but it'd be interesting with this tripod. I will say one thing: if they put an LED light down one of the legs, so that you could light yourself while you're doing like a stand-up or something like that in front of the camera.
I don't know. Let's you and I make that, and then we can sell it.
There you go.
That'll be a whole new revolutionary tripod thing.
Yeah.
Then we'll get an article on Petapixel.
There you go.
All right. Well, that's pretty much all the topics we have. It's a short show today. We do have potentially another guest joining us for the bonus topic. So if you want to listen to the bonus topic immediately after this show, then throw us $1 on the Patreon or more. We actually added some new Patreon tiers. So if you're interested in taking advantage of those, head over on to patreon.com/aroundthelens, and you could throw us a buck and listen to our bonus topics. We do one each week after the show, or you can throw us $5 and you can have a topic you want talked about on the show. If you throw us $10, you can actually be a panelist on the show. I know, crazy, huh? And then if you throw us $100, which nobody's going to do, but I did it on there, you can host the show. It's your show. You can do whatever you want. You want to talk about, cats and dogs or trampolines, whatever you want to do. It's your show. You get to be the host for an episode.
Yeah. That's when you get to the sponsorship level, right?
Well, sponsorship, that's way anybody can sponsor this show. I've been reaching out to MPPA forever to sponsor this show, but I'll take sponsorship from anybody. Nick, you want to sponsor the show? You want to be the Nick Oxford Around the Lens? Brought to you by Nick Oxford.
Not on the freelancer budget, unfortunately.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, that's pretty much the show for this week. Nick, what is your eye catcher? What have you got for us to look at or read about or hear about? What do you want us to go to?
So aphotoaday.org. It's a thing that I've been a part of for a few years now. I started looking at it and sending in photos when I was in college. And it's run by Melissa Little, who's a great photojournalist. And it's mainly a photo listserv that, you can send your pictures into. You can send in one picture a day, and all these photographers can have the chance to respond to it and, give you feedback about a project you're working on or just a single picture that you think is great. And they choose one picture every single day to be on the front of their website. And it's been a really good, you learn a lot through it because you get really great feedback from people, honest feedback that's hard to get in certain places if you're a freelancer. And yeah, it's a great resource for photojournalists.
Cool. My pick this week is a little website I found that now I don't have the link for anymore. I'm going to just say our Snapchat is my pick of the week, our eye catcher. Just go to Snapchat or not slash, but I guess find us on the address book if you can figure out how to manage the thing. Go to Around the Lens or Around the Lens at Around Lens. And just follow us on Snapchat. And we're going to do some really cool things on there, and I highly recommend everybody go check it out. So, Nick, how can people find more about you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter. My handle is @NickOxfordPhoto, and my website is oxfordphotojournalism.com. You can get in touch with me there.
Great, and I'm also available on djmphoto.com and everything DJM Photo, but of course, I can't help but plug aroundthelens.com, where you can find links to all the stuff that we talked about, all that fun stuff, all the stories, all the fun. Just go there. And that's about it. We got Ian on the line, who's I guess going to join us for the after show, the bonus topic. So can't wait to hear what Ian has to say about things. And other than that, I am David Murphy for Nick Oxford. This has been Around the Lens, episode 34, and we're out.